So, technical exercises. There are really only a few you need to do, and they're probably simpler than you think. Um, I'll try to keep it concise, but that can be tricky. Um, I'll start with what I use for note knowledge, because everything else is kind of useless without knowing what notes you're playing. I'll start by defining a position. So, when a guitarist says they're playing in, say, fifth position, they mean that their fingers are situated from the 5th to the 8th fret. Now, a position is more so than the top or the bottom finger. It's defined by the middle fingers. Because if you watch me play the chromatic scale, occasionally that index finger is going to stretch from 5 to 4, and occasionally that pinky finger is going to stretch from 8 to 9. But these two remain consistent at 6 and 7. So keeping that fingering, staying in position, you're going to play triads up the chromatic scale, ascending one and descending the next, while saying the notes out loud. A flat, C, E flat, A flat, E, A rather, E, C sharp, A, I need more practice, B flat, D, F, B flat, B, F sharp, D sharp, B, C, E, G, C, and then you're going to play that all the way up to the C triad up here, C, E, G, C, and then descend the same way. This will be tedious at first. It'll be annoying, but eventually you'll get it to the point where you can do that up and down in a minute or two. And then you're going to want to start moving that around. The end goal is to be able to do it literally everywhere on the neck, including above the octave. Even though the notes repeat, you're going to want to get it to a point that it's automatic. And practice this eventually when you feel like you're ready to move on with the first and second inversions of the triad too. Now for hand movement, something very important is the ability to move up and down the neck while keeping your wrist and thumb in a consistent position relative to the rest of your hand. Generally, you're always going to want the thumb roughly lined up with where your middle finger is on the other side of the neck. So a good exercise to help with that, supposedly they do it at Grant McEwen. That's what my guitar teacher was saying, but he hasn't been there since the 80s. So, you know, just go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up a fret, up a string. Then do the same but reverse direction. You end up here in 11th position, then do the same thing backwards. And see, I'm rushing here, so like my pinky finger is flying around, but you're going to want to avoid that. You're going to want to go as slow as is necessary to keep your motion smooth, and you're going to want to anticipate. So as my fingers descend these notes, they're already moving toward the next string. And the end goal is to be able to do that such that it looks like you're just moving your hand like this and your fingers aren't even moving. I'm nowhere near there yet, but it's something to aspire toward. Now for finger independence, there are kind of two main things that I do. Well, I guess three. One of them is this standard 1, 2, 3, 4 exercise. I'm sure you've seen some variant. But you only lift the fingers as they're needed. So I'm holding all 4 of these fingers down until I need to play the notes on the next string. You can hear them ringing out. You're going to eventually, when you're more comfortable, work up to doing all the permutations of 1, 2, 3, 4 that you can think of that you find useful. 1, 3, 2, 4. 1, 2, 4, 3. And even one starting on 2. Then also, this one's a good one to do to a metronome. 1, 4, 3, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4. And that one, it's tempting to play really fast because it sounds like some Yngwie Malmsteen shit, but don't do that yet. Again, as slow as is necessary to keep things smooth and minimal, you're relying on gravity to hold those notes down more so than the strength of the muscles in your hand, especially not the thumb. If the thumb were taken away from the back of the neck, you should still be able to sound those notes. The thumb is just there for stability. You don't push your thumb into the back of the neck. But the goal of this one is mainly to get these fingers 3 and 4 moving separately from each other, because you can see even as I try to do it now, like they're very intertwined in their muscular movements. Also, when you're doing this one, be sure to lift those fingers up when you're not using them. Emphasizing that helps with getting them to move separately. And then this sort of stretching one is useful for, that's why I said it's sort of related to independence. It's useful for tricky chord moves. A little sloppy there, but I guess I still need more practice. But you have a pair of fingers on adjacent frets on adjacent strings, and then keeping one finger on the top string, you gradually widen the gap. Try to keep the movement to just the fingers. Move as little of the rest of your hand as possible. You'll probably be able to reach all the way down there on your first attempt. But with these fingers, it's trickier. And then these fingers, it's the hardest, but it's the most important to train them. See, I'm still screwing up. You probably won't be able to make that massive stretch on your first try, but that's okay. It's something you work up to, and it's something you should immediately stop doing if you feel pain or too much unnecessary tension. This is a gradual process. You do it minutes at a time each day. For picking, I also do this cross-picking exercise that makes me think of Robert Fripp because it sort of sounds like fracture. Like that sort of movement. Imagine you had a guitar with infinite strings in either direction, and you would just move this pattern of 5, 6, 7, 8 on ascending strings across that array. And then eventually you run out of room, so you reverse direction. So that is strictly alternate picked. I'm not economy picking anything there. I primarily economy pick when I'm improvising, but it's important to practice both. It forces you to get used to taking string changes at weird angles, because if you're improvising, you're not always thinking about, the preceding pick stroke. Let's see, is there anything else I do? Oh, yes. Here's a good exercise for practicing economy picking and little sweeps. You just play these little bars, like. It's double stops up the chromatic scale, basically. No. Well, I've lost my place. But yeah, you're picking that like down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up, up. This is another good one to play to a metronome and really get rhythmically even. It's important to be able to play these sweeps in time. You can do it with groups of 3 as well. I found that one really unlocked a lot of doors for me, because these little sweeps started making their way into my playing. And even in pentatonics, it makes them sound way less monotonous when you can do this sort of movement instead of just, I believe that is all. My brain and fingers are getting tired anyways.